يشكرون. سبحان الذي خلق الأزواج كلها مما تنبت الأرض ومن أنفسهم مما لا يعلمون. وآية لهم الليل نسلك منه النهار فإذا هم مظلمون. والشمس تجري لمستقر لها ذلك تقدير العزيز العليم. والقمر قدرناه منازل حتى عاد كالعرجون القديم. لا الشمس ينبغي لها أن تدرك القمر والليل سابق النهار وكل في فلك يسبحون. وآية لهم أنا حملنا زجاجة في الفلك المشحون وخلقنا لهم من مثل ما يركبون ونشاء نغرقهم فلا شريك لهم ولا هم ينقذون إلا رحمة منا متاع إلى حين. وإذا قيل لهم اتقوا ما بين أيديكم وما خلفكم لعلكم ترحمون وما تأتيهم من آية من آيات ربهم إلا كانوا عنها معرضين. وإذا قيل لهم أنفقوا مما رزقكم الله قال الذين كفروا للذين آمنوا أنطعم من لو شاء الله أطعمه إن أنتم إلا في ضلال مبين. ويقولون متى هذا الوعد إن كنتم صادقين ما ينظرون إلا صيحة واحدة تأخذهم وهم يخصمون ولا يستطيعون توصية ولا إلى أهلهم يرجعون. ونفخ في الصور فإذا هم من الأجداث إلى ربهم ينسلون. قالوا يا ويلنا من بعثنا من مرقدنا هذا ما الرحمن صدق المرسلون إن كانت إلا صيحة واحدة فإذا هم جميع لدينا محضرون. واليوم لا تظلم نفس شيئا ولا تجزون إلا ما كنتم تعملون إن أصحاب الجنة اليوم في شغل فاكهون هم وأزواجهم في ظلال على أرائك متكئون لهم فيها فاكهة ولهم ما يدعون سلام قولا من رب رحيم. وامتازوا اليوم أيها المجرمون ألم أعهد إليكم يا بني آدم لا تعبدوا الشيطان إنه لكم عدو مبين وأن اعبدوني هذا صراط مستقيم. ولقد أضل منكم جبلا كثيرا أفلم تكونوا تاكلون هذه جهنم التي كنتم توعدون اصلوها بما كنتم تكفرون. اليوم نختم على أفواههم وتكلمنا أيديهم وتشهد أرجلهم بما كانوا يكسبون. ولو نشاء لطمسنا على عينهم فاستبقوا الصراط فأنى يبصرون. ولو نشاء لمسخناهم على مكانة فما استطاعوا مضيا ولا يرجعون. ومن نعمره ننكسه في الخلق أفلا يعقلون. وما لم نشر ما ينبغي له إن هو إلا ذكر وقرآن مبين لينذر من كان حيا ويحق القول للكافرين. أولم يروا أنا خلقنا لهم مما عملت أيدينا أنعاما فهم لها مالكون وذللناها لهم فمنها ركوبهم ومنها يأكلون ولهم فيها منافع ومشارب أفلا يشكرون. واتخذوا من دون الله آلهة لعلهم ينصرون لا يستطيعون نصرهم وهم لهم جند محضرون. ولا يحزنك قولهم إنا نعلم ما يسرون وما يعلنون. أولم يرى الإنسان أنا خلقناه من نطفة فإذا هو خصيم مبين وضرب لنا مثلا ونسي خلقه قال من يحيي العظام وهي رميم قل يحيي الذي أنشأ أول مرة وهو بكل خلق عليم الذي جعل لكم من الشجر الأخضر نارا فإذا أنتم منه توقدون أوليس الذي خلق السماوات والأرض بقادر على أن يخلق مثلهم بلى وهو الخلاق العليم إنما أمره إذا أراد شيئا أن يقول له كن فيكون فسبحان الذي بيده ملكوت كل شيء وإليه ترجعون. صدق الله العلي العظيم. صل على Please say Surah Fatiha for all the Marhumin.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم إني أسألك برحمتك التي وسعت كل شيء وبقوتك التي قهرت بها كل شيء وخضع لها كل شيء وضل لها كل شيء وبجبروتك التي غلبت بها كل شيء وبعزتك التي لا يقوم لها شيء وبعظمتك التي ملأت كل شيء وبسلطانك الذي على كل شيء وبوجهك الباقي بعد فناء كل شيء وبأسمائك التي ملأت أركان كل شيء وبعلمك الذي أحاط بكل شيء وبنور وجهك الذي أضاء له كل شيء يا نور يا قدوس يا أول الأولين ويا آخر الآخرين اللهم اغفر لي الذنوب التي تهتك العصم اللهم اغفر لي الذنوب التي تنزل النقم اللهم اغفر لي الذنوب التي تغير النعم اللهم اغفر لي الذنوب التي تحبس الدعاء اللهم اغفر لي الذنوب التي تنزل البلاء اللهم اغفر لي الذنوب التي تقطع الرجاء اللهم اغفر لي كل ذنب أذنبته وكل خطيئة أخطأتها اللهم إني أتقرب إليك بذكرك وأستشفع بك إلى نفسك وأسألك بجودك وأن تدنيني من قربك وأن توزعني شكرك وأن تلهمني ذكرك اللهم إني أسألك سؤال خاضع متذلل خاشع أن تسامحني وترحمني وتجعلني بقسمك راضيا قانعا وفي جميع الأحوال متواضعا اللهم وأسألك سؤال من اشتدت فاقته وأنزل بك عند الشدائد حاجته وعزم فيما عندك رغبته اللهم عزم سلطانك وعلى مكانك وخفي مكرك وظهر أمرك وغلب قهرك وجرت قدرتك ولا يمكن الفرار من حكومتك اللهم لا أجد لذنوبي غافرا ولا لقبائه ساترا ولا لشيء من عملي القبيح بالحسن مبدلا غيرك لا إله إلا أنت سبحانك وبحمدك ظلمت نفسي وتجرأت بجهلي وسكنت إلى قديم ذكرك لي ومنك علي اللهم مولاي كم من قبيح سترته وكم من فادح من البلاء أقلته وكم من عثار وقيته وكم من مكروه دفعته وكم من ثناء جميل لست أهلا له نشرته اللهم عظم بلائي وأفرط بي سوء حالي وقصرت بي أعمالي وقعدت بي أغلالي وحبسني عن نفعي بعد عملي وخدعني الدنيا بغرورها ونفسي بجنايتها ومطالي يا سيدي فأسألك بعزتك أن لا يحجب عنك دعائي سوء عملي وفعالي ولا تفزعني بخفي ما اطلعت عليه من سري ولا تعاجلني بالعقوبة على ما عملته في خلواته من سوء فعلي وإساءتي ودوام تفريطي وجهالتي وكثرة شهواتي وغفلتي وكن اللهم بعزتك لي في كل الأحوال رؤوفا وعلي في جميع الأمور عطوفا إلهي وربي من لي غيرك أسأله كشف ضري والنظر في أمري إلهي ومولاي أجريت علي حكما اتبعت فيه هوى نفسي ولم أحترس فيه من تزيين عدوي فغرني بما أهوى وأسأله على ذلك القضاء فتجاوزت بما جرى علي من ذلك بعض حدودك وخالفت مع أوامرك فلك الحمد علي في جميع ذلك ولا حجة لي فيما جرى علي فيه قضاءك وألزمني حكمك وبلاؤك وقد أتيتك يا إلهي بعد تقصيري وإسرافي على نفسي معتذرا نادما منكسرا مستقيلا مستغفرا منيبا مكرا مذعنا معترفا لا أجد مفرا مما كان مني ولا مفزا نتوجه إليه في أمري غير قبولك عذري وإدخالك إياي في سعتي من رحمتك. اللهم فاقبل عذري وارحم شدة ضري وفكني من شد وثاقي. يا رب ارحم ضعف بدني ورقة جلدي ودقة عظمي. يا من بدا خلقي وذكري وتربيتي وبري وتغذيتي هب لي لابتداء كرمك وصالح برك بي يا إلهي وسيدي وربي. أتراك معذب بنارك بعد توحيدك وبعد من طوى عليه قلبي من معرفتك ولهج به لساني من ذكرك واعتقده ضميري من حبك وبعد سكن اعترافي ودعائي خاضعا لربوبيتك. هيهات أنت أكرم من أن تضيع من ربيته أو تبعد من أدنيته أو تشرد من آويته أو تسلم إلى البلاء من كفيته ورحمته. وليت شعري يا سيدي وإلهي ومولاي أتسلط النار على وجوه خرت لعظمتك ساجدة وعلى ألسن نطقت بتوحيدك صادقة وبشكرك مادحة وعلى قلوب اعترفت بإلهيتك محققة وعلى ضمائر حوت من العلم بك حتى صارت خاشعة وعلى جوارها سعت الأوطان تعبدك طائية وأشارت باستغفارك مذعنة. ما هكذا الظن بك ولا أخبرنا بفضلك عنك يا كريم. يا ربي وأنت تعلم ضعفي عن قليل من بلاء الدنيا وعقوباتها وما يجري فيها من المكاره على أهلها على أن ذلك بلاء ومكروه قليل مكثوه يسير بقاه قصير مدته. فكيف احتمالي لبلاء الآخرة وجليل وقوع المكاره فيها وهو بلاء تطول مدته ويدوم مقامه ولا يخفف عن أهله لأنه لا يكون إلا عن غضبك وانتقامك وسخطك وهذا ما لا تقوم له السماوات والأرض. يا سيدي فكيف لي وأنا عبدك الضعيف الذليل الحقير المسكين المستكين. يا إلهي وربي وسيدي ومولاي لأي الأمور إليك أشكو ولم منها ضج وأبكي لأليم العذاب وشدته أم لطول البلاء ومدته فلئن صيرتني للعقوبات مع أعدائك وجمعت بيني وبين أهل بلائك وفرقت بيني وبين أحبائك وأوليائك فهبني يا إلهي وسيدي ومولاي وربي. صبرت على عذابك فكيف أصبر على فراقك وهبني. صبرت على حر نارك فكيف أصبر عن النظر إلى كرامتك أم كيف أسكن في النار ورجاء عفوك. وبعزتك يا سيدي ومولاي أقسم صادقا لئن تركتني ناطقة لأضجن إليك بين أهلها ضجيج الآملين ولا أصرخن إليك صراخ المستصرخين ولا أبكين عليك بكاء الفاقدين ولو نادينك أين كنت يا ولي المؤمنين. يا غاية آمال العارفين يا غياث المستغيثين يا حبيب قلوب الصادقين ويا إله العالمين. أفتراك سبحانك يا إلهي وبحمدك تسمع فيها صوت عبد مسلم سجن فيها بمخالفته وضاق طعم عذابها بمعصيته وحبس بين أتباكها بجرمه وجريرته وهو يضج إليك ضجيجا مؤمل لرحمتك ويناديك بلسان أهل توحيدك ويتوسل إليك بربوبيتك. يا مولاي فكيف يبقى في العذاب وهو يرجو ما سلف من حلمك؟ أم كيف تؤلمه النار وهو يعمل فضلك ورحمتك؟ أم كيف يهركه لهيبها وأنت تسمع صوته وترى مكانه؟ أم كيف يشتمل عليه زفيرها وأنت تعلم ضعفهم؟ كيف يتقلقل بين أطباقها وأنت تعلم صدقه؟ أم كيف تزجره زبانيتها وهو يناديك يا ربه؟ أم كيف يرجو فضلك في عتقه منها فتتركه فيها هيهات؟ ما ذلك الظن بك ولا المعروف من فضلك ولا مشبه لما عملت به الموحدين من برك وإحسانك، فباليقين أقته لولا ما حكمت به من تعظيم جاحدك وقضيت به من إخلاد معاندك لجعلت النار كلها بردا وسلامة وما كانت لأحد فيها مقرا ولا مقامة. لكنك تقدست أسماؤك أقسمت أن تملأها من الكافرين من الجنة والناس أجمعين وأن تخلد فيها المعاندين وأن تجلى ثناؤك. قلت مبتدعا وتطولت بالإنعام متكرمة أفمن كان مؤمنا كمن كان فاسقا لا يستوون. إلهي وسيدي فأسألك بالقدرة التي قدرتها وبالقضية التي حتمتها وحكمته وغلبت من عليه أجريتها أن تهب لي في هذه الليلة وفي هذه الساعة كل جرم أجرمته وكل ذنب أذنبته وكل قبيح أسررته وكل جهل عملته كتمته وأعلنته أخفيته وأظهرته وكل سيئة أمرت بإثباتها الكرام الكاتبين الذين وكلتهم بحفظ ما يكون مني وجعلتهم شهودا علي مع جوارح وكنت أنت الرقيب علي من ورائهم والشاهد لما خفي عنهم وبرحمتك أخفيته وبفضلك سترته وأن توفر حظي من كل خير أنزلته أو إحسان فضلته أو بر نشرته أو رزق بسطت أو ذنب تغفر أو خطأ تستر. يا ربي يا ربي يا رب يا إلهي وسيدي ومولاي ومالك رقي يا من بيده ناصيتي يا عليما بضري ومسكنتي يا خبيرا بفقري وفاقتي يا ربي يا ربي يا رب أسألك بحقك وقدسك وعظم صفاتك وأسمائك أن تجعل أوقات من الليل والنهار بذكرك معمورة وبخدمتك موصولة وأعمالي عندك مقبولة حتى تكون أعمالي وأورادي كلها وردا واحدا وحالي في خدمتك سرمدا. يا سيدي يا من عليه معولي يا من إليه شكوت أحوالي يا ربي يا ربي يا رب قوي على خدمتك جوارح واشدد على العزيمة جوانح وهب لي الجد في خشيتك والدوام في الاتصال بخدمتك حتى أسرح إليك في ميادين السابقين وأسرع إليك في البارزين وأشتاق إلى قربك في المشتاقين وأدنو منك دنو المخلصين وأخافك مخافة الموقنين وأجتمع في جوارك مع المؤمنين. اللهم ومن أرادني بسوء فارد ومن كادني فكد واجعلني من أحسن عبيدك نصيبا عندك وأقربهم منزلة منك وأخصهم زلفة لديك فإنه لا ينال ذلك إلا بفضلك وجد لي بجودك وعطف علي بمجدك واحفظني برحمتك واجعل لساني بذكرك لهجة وقلبي بحبك متيمة ومن علي بحسن إجابتك وأكلني أثرتي واغفر زلتي فإنك قضيت على عبادك بعبادتك وأمرتهم بدعائك وضمنت لهم الإجابة وإليك يا ربي نصبت وجهي وإليك يا ربي مددت يدي وبعزتك أستجب لدعائي وبلغني منايا ولا تقطع من فضلك رجائي واكفني شر الجن والإنس من أعدائي يا سريع الرضا اغفر لمن لا يملك إلا الدعاء فإنك فعال لما تشاء يا من اسمه دواء وذكره شفاء وطاعته غنى ارحم من رأس ماله الرجاء وسلاحه البكاء يا سابغ النعم يا دافع النقم يا نور المستوحشين في الظلم يا عالما لا يعلم صل على محمد وآل محمد وافعل بما أنت أهله وصلى الله على رسوله والأئمة الميامين من آله وسلم تسليما كثيرا. رحم الله من قرأ سورة المباركة الفاتحة.
صلوا على النبي. چاند محرم تو ہی بتا خاتون کا چاند کہا ہے اے چاند محرم تو ہی بتا خاتون کا چاند کہا ہے آباد ہے دنیا ساری آباد ہے دنیا ساری مگر زہرا کا چمن ویرا ہے اے چاند محرم تو ہی بتا دیکھا نہ سنا زاہد ایسا زخموں سے بدن ہے چھور مگر دیکھا نہ سنا زاہد ایسا زخموں سے بدن ہے چھور مگر جاری ہے زباں پہ ذکر خدا جاری ہے زباں پہ ذکر خدا گردن پہ خنجر روا ہے اے چاند محرم تو ہی بتا خاتون کا چاند کہا ہے کہتی تھی سکینہ عابد کو اس قید میں مر جاؤں گی، کہتی تھی سکینہ عابد کو اس قید میں مر جاؤں گی، چھوڑو نہ اکیلا بھائی، چھوڑو نہ اکیلا بھائی مجھے، تاریخ بہت زندہ ہے، اے چاند محرم تو ہی بتا، خاتون کا چاند کہاں ہے، اے کوفیوں میں ہو بنت علی اور وارث چادر زہرا کی، اے کوفیوں میں ہو بنت علی اور وارث چادر زہرا کی، دیکھو نہ تماشا شرم کرو، دیکھو نہ تماشا شرم کرو، اب زینب سر اوریا ہے، اے چاند محرم تو ہی بتا، خاتون کا چاند کہاں ہے، آباد ہے دنیا ساری، آباد ہے دنیا ساری مگر زہرا کا چمن ویراں ہے، اے چاند محرم تو ہی بتا، اور محمد و آل محمد صلوات۔
محمد وآل محمد صلوات، اللہم صلی علی محمد آل محمد۔ زینب نے جو یہ پوچھا اس دشت میں کیا ہوگا، زینب نے جو یہ پوچھا اس دشت میں کیا ہوگا، سرور نے کہا بہنا سر تن سے جدا ہوگا، زینب نے جو یہ پوچھا، تو جائے گی سروریا پھر شام تلک بہنا، تو جائے گی سروریا پھر شام تلک بہنا، نام حرموں کا مجمع کر تیرا کھلا ہوگا، زینب نے جو یہ پوچھا، ऊंटों पे हरम होगे, कोठों पे तमाशाई। ऊंटों पे हरम होगे, कोठों पे तमाशाई। बीमार मेरा बेटा महबू से भला होगा, ज़ैनब ने जो ये पूछा। एक जुल्म की रस्सी में बंध जाओगे तुम सारे, एक जुल्म की रस्सी में बंध जाओगे तुम सारे, और तेग ये गर्दन में आबिद का गला होगा, ज़ैनब ने जो ये पूछा। मर जाएगी घुट घुट के एक रोज सकीना भी, मर जाएंगी घुट घुट के एक रोज सकीना भी। सर बाप का बेटी को पैगाम कज़ा होगा, ज़ैनब ने जो ये पूछा। इस दश्त में क्या होगा, सरवर ने कहा बहना, सर तन से जुदा होगा, ज़ैनब ने जो ये पूछा। और मोहम्मद वाले मोहम्मद सलावत सल्ली अला Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Let us all recite 5 times Ayyama Yujibu, especially for the safety of Muslims everywhere, especially those who are in the conflict areas. For the safety, for the well-being of those who are sick, near and far, and for all those who have du'as. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. أما يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء 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 أما يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء. اللهم صل على Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. We'll have few announcements with Brother Amin and they will followed by Majlis. Muhammad wa ali Muhammad salawat.
Hajj Hassan, my respected elders, brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum. Just a few programming updates. We were just informed this afternoon that there was a death and there's a funeral event, memorial service here at the church tomorrow. Most of our programs will not be impacted, but it will affect the ladies' majalis that was scheduled for 11 o'clock. What we've done is we've moved the ladies' program. We'll send out an email this evening. Initially, it was scheduled for 11 a.m. It's going to move to 2:30 p.m. It'll be conducted after the Jummah prayers. So again, the ladies' majalis tomorrow will start at 2:30 p.m. Instead of 11 o'clock. So we'll send out an email with that. As well, there's some room changes that I'll be announcing over the course of the next couple of days. The email that goes out tonight will reflect that. The ladies' programs this weekend will be held in the gymnasium. So again, programs will start at the scheduled time at 11, but they'll be held in the gym just this Saturday and Sunday. And then as well, both Mondays during this month, the first 12 nights, our main program, they have something going on here in the evening, which conflicts with our program. So we'll also be holding the program just on the Mondays during the first 12 nights will also be held in the gymnasium. So this will all be in the email. I just wanted to make that announcement. Also remind you that the Muharram Suffer Fund is open. So again, this month, in order for it to be successful, to cover our expenses, We do ask that everyone contribute. We did put those amounts, and I'll be putting up a chart what our goal is for these Muharram Safar months to cover expenses as well as the other fundraising we need to do for the rest of the year. We'll put that out and we'll kind of track. So it's very important everyone contribute. There'll be obviously impacts to what we can do if we don't hit our target. So again, I'll share that with you more in detail over the weekend announcement and in an email. Brothers and sisters, tonight we're honored to welcome Haj Ehsan Karimi from the Dearborn area in Michigan. Ehsan is a recent graduate and is a nurse practitioner. He studied at the University of Detroit, and he has not just a deep passion for healthcare, but has a deep passion for Islam and teaching. He's very active. He serves as a co-chairperson of the Youth of Wisdom in Detroit and is an experienced reciter and teacher of the Holy Quran. He has pursued his Hausa studies, again, among several local scholars and brings years of experience running youth programs. So definitely, especially our youth, if you want to get some ideas, please reach out and connect with Haj Ehsan on some of these workshops. And he's a staunch teacher of Quran and religious studies. So, reach out to him while we have him. Ehsan will be joining us starting this evening and will be here through Sunday. Monday, we have Haj Mehdi Ilahi will be joining us starting Monday night for the remainder of the 12 nights. You'll also recognize, some of you, when you see Haj Ehsan come up here, he was also a finalist or semi-finalist this past year on the Shia Voice. Unfortunately, it's hard to beat an 11-year-old. So with that, brothers and sisters, please join in welcoming Haj Ehsan with the Lat Salawat.
الفاتحة. My dear respected brothers, my dear elders, my dear sisters, Assalamu alaikum jami'an wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I want to first begin, before we jump into the majlis, I want to first start by showing my gratitude and thanking you all for having me a part of your majlis and being a part of these gatherings in commemoration of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. It's truly an honor for us to be here and commemorating Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. There are millions and millions of people around the world who don't know the value of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein, and the fact that you're here today shows that you know his value, and that is something to be proud of. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم صلى الله عليك يا رسول الله صلى الله عليك بيتك المظلومين الغرر الميامين صلى الله عليك يا مولاي وابن مولاي يا أبا عبد الله يا رحمة الله الواسعة ويا باب نجاة الأمة غريب يا مظلوم كربلاء يا ليتنا كنا معكم سيدي فنفوز والله فوزا عظيما. أما بعد، يقول الله في محكم كتابه الأمين: بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وتولى عنهم وقال يا أسفا على يوسف وابيضت عيناه من الحزن فهو كظيم. صدق الله العلي العظيم. صلوات. Azadari is without a doubt one of the defining characteristics of the Shia. You don't see any group of individuals in any part of the world in the millions that they come every single year and commemorate a man or a group of individuals as the Shia do for the Ahlul Bayt of Nabi Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. You see that the Shia, for each of the 14 infallibles, they hold commemorations and majalis for each one of them at different times of the year and in different forms. You might see that in these majalis, scenes of profuse crying. You might see scenes of people wailing and screaming. You might see scenes of people beating on their chests. But they all do it with love. Now, we look at the world today and you find that some individuals and some ideologies say that, you know what, it's unmanly for a man to cry. But when you look at these majalis, you see that the most manly of men participate and they are undertaking the most profuse signs of mourning. And on the other hand, you have a group of individuals that come and they say, you know what, this azadari that you do, this is a bid'ah, it's an innovation, doesn't exist, the Prophet never did it, doesn't exist in the Quran. And in fact, that such a thing is haram. Therefore, tonight, inshallah, we will delve into the following topics. Firstly, what is azadari? And what does Western studies tell us about azadari? Secondly, what is, in terms of this azadari, is it a bid'ah or is it a sunnah? Is it something that has been added into Islam, or do we see that it is existing in the Quran and in the traditions of the Holy Prophet? Thirdly, what is some of the propaganda that has been propped up against Abu Abdullah Hussein and Azadari? And fourthly, what is our responsibility to Abu Abdullah Hussein? We will delve into these after Allah salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala. Azadari is a word that derives from Arabic, the word of aza. Aza means to mourn, to grieve. When you add the dari end to it, it becomes Farsi or Urdu, meaning the process of grieving, this action of grieving, whether it be crying, whether it be marsiya, whether it be matam, whether it be latmiya, whatever the case is, when you undertake an action of grieving, that's what is known as azadari. And we see that Allah has put this ability of azadari into each and every one of us and our DNA. What do I mean? You take an American, you take an Asian, you take an African, you take a European, whoever you take in the world, if you take away their loved ones, if you had a button that you could press and it would make their loved ones go away, you see that every single person on whatever continent they may be, whatever culture that they have, whatever beliefs and whatever religion they have, they will undergo some form of azadari. They'll go under some form of grief. And we see that psychologists and psychiatrists, this is so standardized and so universal that they put names to it. They say that there are 5 stages of grief. That grief starts with denial. And then this grief goes into anger. Then it goes into bargaining. Then it goes into depression, and it ends up with acceptance. So this azadari, firstly and foremostly, it's natural. It is something that Allah has put into our DNA. From a medical perspective, you see that scientists say that there are 3 types of tears. Scientists at Harvard, they say that there are 3 types of tears. You have reflex tears, you have continuous tears. These 2 tears are made of 98% water. Their function is to keep our eyes hydrated, that if something comes into our eyes, dust, smoke, pollution, that it gets rid of this from our eyes in order that we can see clearly and in order that our eyes don't go dry. And they say that the third tier is the emotional tier. This tier, whenever it is excreted, it comes out and it flushes out toxins and chemicals from our body. That not only does it do that, but it also releases hormones such as endorphins and oxytocins. That every time we have an emotional tear, you cry for a purpose, you see that you feel good afterwards. Why? Because these tears have a purpose. That Allah has put them there, that not only do they cure and they help relieve the emotional pain that we have, but also the physical pain. Why? Because with these tears, hormones are released. And we see that scientists tell us that if we hold back our grief, if we hold back our azab, they call this repressive coping. And they say that if a person does not express their griefs in a positive way, in a, not in a destructive manner, what this causes is mental issues, number one. Number two, it causes a weakened immune system. And thirdly, it can cause cardiovascular issues, such as high blood pressure. All of this is to say that azadari, holding and letting go of our grief, is something that is important for our health. So it's not correct for us to say that, it's unmanly for a person to cry. There's these interviews that they ask people, they ask men, when was the last time you cried? And they say, I don't remember. 10 years ago, maybe. This is not good in terms of a medical perspective. Now let's flip the hand into those that say, that this azadari, this is a bid'ah, that this is an innovation, didn't exist during the time of the Holy Prophet. You see that these individuals who say this, they bring the hadith that says from the Holy Prophet, supposedly, that إِنَّ الْمَيِّتَ لَا يُعَذِّبْ بِعَذَابِ بِبُكَاءِ أَهْلِهِ عَلَيْهِ. That the mayyit, a person who dies, he's put under punishment, he's under adhab by Allah if his family cries for him. Now there's a couple issues with this hadith. The first issue is that the companions don't agree that the Holy Prophet said this. You look at Sahih Bukhari, same chapter, same page that this hadith is mentioned, 2 hadiths down, you see that the companions are saying, no, the Prophet didn't say that this is for a Muslim, that the Prophet says this is for non-Muslims. And in that same conversation, you hear that Ibn Abbas, for example, companion of the Holy Prophet, he says that if this is the case, then Allah's justice is under question. How so? Why is the mayyit, if I've passed away and my family does something wrong, why would I be punished for their sins? And they mention ayahs in the Quran that Allah only judges a person by the weight of their own deeds. So if I say that my family cries for me, and I as a mayyit, I'm going to get punished for their crying. If the crying is haram, then they should get punished. Why am I getting punished? So that's number one. You have companions that say, this is not the case. Doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense with the Quran. They say, Hasbuna kitab Allah. The book of Allah is enough. And although you find that these hadiths, they're all sahih. The one who says that the Prophet said it is sahih. And the one who says that the Prophet didn't say it is also sahih. Go figure. I don't know how these hadith work for schools other than Islam. And you find that when it comes to azadari, is it mentioned in the Holy Quran? The verse that we recited in the beginning is in Surah Yusuf. Allah tells us that Nabi Yaqub, Jacob, he cries for his son Yusuf to the extent that his eyes go white. That وَبْيَضَّتْ عَيْنَاهُ مِنَ الْحُزْنِ فَهُوَ كَظِيمٌ. That he was mourning, he was saddened, and he cried so much and so much that he lost his eyesight. Now, what's important to note here is that Nabi Yaqub knows that Nabi Yusuf, his son, is alive. How does he know? Well, because Nabi Yusuf is going to be the next prophet. If the next prophet has passed away, then what is Nabi Yaqub doing here? Nabi Yaqub has to be succeeded by Nabi Yusuf. So Nabi Yusuf is 100% alive. But just that mere separation has caused Nabi Yaqub to go under this azab. So we see the Quran, that the Quran, allows for this. Why? Because if this was wrong, then Allah should in the next ayah or someone tell us that, you know what, Nabi Yaqub did something wrong. And he did istighfar. We don't see that Nabi Yaqub ever does such a thing. So if Azadari is incorrect, Allah should have said that, you know what, Nabi Yaqub did something wrong. And we know that the prophets are infallible. So if Nabi Yaqub isn't infallible, he's a guide to mankind. He doesn't do anything haram. He can't do anything that is not allowed under the rules of Allah. So we see that Azadari is not only mentioned in the Quran, but now we'll go and mention hadiths that mention Azadari by the Holy Prophet. We see that after the Battle of Uhud, devastating loss for the Muslims, and the Holy Prophet is walking through the city of Medina, through the streets of Medina. And while he's walking, he sees that in this house, there are people that are mourning their shaheed. He sees that this house, there are people that are mourning their shaheed. And he goes and he reaches the house of Hamza, his uncle, Sayyidu Shuhada at the time, the chief of the martyrs. And he sees that no one is crying for Hamza. The Holy Prophet says that, is there no one to cry for Hamza? The companions, when they hear this, Sa'd ibn Mu'adh and other companions, they go tell their families that, wait a second, let's put a pause on our own grief. Let's go and grieve the loss of Hamza, Sayyidu Shuhada of this time. So the Prophet is telling his companions that, look, have Azadari not on only your own families, but on someone who's vital to Islam, Hamza alayhi salam, the one who fought for the Holy Prophet, fought fi sabilillah. And the question that's asked, there was a question that was asked to me yesterday by one of the youth in my community. They said, you know what? What about crying for Imam Hussein? You know, Hamza is one thing, but what about Imam Hussein? Did the Prophet ever cry for Imam Hussein? And you find that the enemies of Ahlul Bayt, they always ask this question, well, when did the Prophet cry for Imam Hussein? Now, we have to first and foremost say that, you know what, this question is not valid. How can we expect the Holy Prophet to cry for Imam Hussein if the battle of Ashura happens 50 years later? Is he there for him to cry? No. But we see that even though the Prophet is not present in Karbala, he's not present on the day of Ashura, we see that the Holy Prophet cries for Imam Hussein 50 years before the event happens. You hear hadith from al-Fadl, wife of the Holy Prophet. She says that I was with the Holy Prophet and the Holy Prophet was holding Imam Hussein in his lap. And I saw that the Holy Prophet was profusely crying. And I told him, O Rasulullah, may my parents be ransomed for you. Why is it that you're crying? What's wrong? And he says that I was just told by Jibreel that this son of mine will be killed and martyred by the Fi'a al-Baghiyah, a deviant or rebellious group of my nation. You read from Asma bint Umays, another wife of the Holy Prophet, that she says that when the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he hears that Imam Hussein alayhi salam was born, he would run to the house of Sayyidah Fatima Zahra. He'd knock on the door, and Asma would open the door, and she'd say, Assalamu alaikum ya Rasulullah, and he'd say, Alaikum assalam, and he'd say, I'd fetch me my son Hussein, and she'd bring him Hussein alayhi salam. He'd hold Imam Hussein in his hands. He'd say the adhan in his right ear, and in the iqamah in his left ear. And Asma says, at that point, I saw that the Holy Prophet was profusely crying. His head is down, and he's weeping. And I asked him, Oh Rasulullah, this child has only been born for an hour. He's been born within the hour. Why are you crying already? What's wrong? The Holy Prophet says that this son of mine will be killed by the Fi'a al-Baghiyah, this deviant group in my nation. Imam Hussein alayhi salam has a majlis azab by the Holy Prophet within the first hour of his life. This shows us the value of Imam Hussein, the musibah of Imam Hussein. Within the first hour of his life, the Holy Prophet is crying for something that's going to happen 50 plus years in the future. We hear that a similar hadith is narrated from Aisha as well. She says, I was with the Holy Prophet and he was crying. And I asked him, that, why are you crying? He says that a Fi'a al-Baghiyah will come and they will kill this Hussein of mine. A deviant nation, a rebellious group of my nation will come and they will martyr this son of mine. We see that the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he says to Sayyidah Fatima that, "O Fatima, ya Fatima, kullu aynin bakiyatun yawmul qiyamah." Every single eye will be weeping and crying on the day of judgment. إِلَّا عَيْنٌ بَكَتْ عَلَى مُصَابِ الْحُسَيْنِ, except the eyes that cry for the musibah of Imam Hussein. فَإِنَّهَا ضَاحِكَةٌ مُسْتَبْشِرَةٌ بِنَعِيمِ الْجَنَّةِ. For those eyes, they're laughing, they're happy, because they've been given the good news of Jannah. So I ask you, how is it possible that some people claim that the Azadari for Imam Hussein, or any of the Ahlul Bayt for that matter, is something that is not a part of Islam? When we see that the Holy Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, he has majlis azab for his uncle Hamza. He cries for Imam Hussein, and he does this majlis azab in front of others as well. And the question is, why do I cry? We hear this question of that the holy, holy Imam, he died 1,200, 1,300 years ago. Muawiyah, Yazid, these are, they had their own problems. They had fitnas and, they did this and that. Don't worry about it. Think about right now. You hear this. The answer is that the battle of Ashura, the musibah of Imam Hussein, is at such a level that the Holy Prophet sees it necessary that he cries 50 years before it happens. It's a monumental moment for the Holy Prophet. And I tell those people that if you had a Hussein, like I do, if you realize the value of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, then you'd cry as well. That you'd cry as well. But the issue is that you don't have a Hussein. The issue is that who do you respect? Who's your Saifullah? I look at my Saifullah, Amirul Mu'mineen. Nafsul Rasul. Who's your Saifullah? The individual that assaults the woman of the Muslims? The individual that the Holy Prophet raises his hand into the skies and he says that, Allahumma inni abra'u mimman sana'a Khalid. That, oh Allah, I am free from what Khalid has done. This is your Saifullah. My Saifullah is Amirul Mu'mineen. So when I lose this Amirul Mu'mineen, this is a great loss for me. When you lose individuals like that who do haram on a day-to-day basis, they kill people left and right with no remorse, then absolutely, you don't understand what I've lost. You don't understand the value of Imam Hussein, and that's why it's so hard for you to wrap your head around this musibah and this azadari that we have every single year. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Now we see that the enemies of Ahlul Bayt, you look at a figure like Imam Hussein. If the people look at Imam Hussein, they see the value of Imam Hussein, the message of Imam Hussein, that the people will change. They'll start going against the establishment. And so you see that there are propaganda that is propagated against Imam Hussein. You see that, how does it start? It starts with, the day of Ashura, day of mourning? Absolutely not. This is a day of barakah, it's a day of ibadah, it's a day of worship. You read that on the day of Ashura in other schools of Islam, that you should, for example, wear your nicest clothing. You should wear bright clothing. You should have a smile on your face. Give gifts. Have your wedding on the day of Ashura. You see that individuals, I was reading this hadith in a book that said that on the day of Ashura, men should wear makeup. Men should put kuhl on their eyes. And if they do, لَمْ تَرْمُدْ عَيْنُهُ أَبَدًا. Their vision will never go wrong. They'll never have any eye problems. Now you tell this to a lay person, a normal person, doesn't know the hadith, doesn't know what's going on. You tell him, look, this day of Ashura is very important. It's a day of ibadah, give gifts, have your wedding on it. If you put kuhl on your eyes, it's so important that, and it's so blessed that on this day, your eyes, you tell me right now that put kuhl on the day of Ashura, you don't have to wear glasses in your life. I'd be like, wow, mashallah, this must be an important day. Why is this? And I want to focus on one of these points. And that is the fact that they say, fasting is mustahab on the day of Ashura. And just by highlighting this point, you get to see that, you know what, if this is the most important point that they have, if this has no historical backing, then nothing else does. They say that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he enters Medina, he saw that the Jews were fasting. And when they asked him, why are you fasting? He said that this day of Ashura, is the day that Musa was successful over Fir'aun. And so we honor him, and it's a day of celebration. And so Rasulullah tells his companions that, you know what, you have more right over Musa and his success than they do, so you should start fasting as well. Now the issue here is that Rasulullah does not enter Medina on the 10th of Muharram. In fact, Laylatul Mabit, the night in which Amir al-Mu'minin sleeps in the bed of the Holy Prophet in order that the Prophet can leave and do his hijrah, is on the 1st of Rabiul Awwal. Rabiul Awwal is in 2 months. So you tell me, how is it possible that the Prophet leaves Mecca towards Medina in 2 months, and then he sort of goes back in time and he reaches there in Muharram? Either this trip took 10 months, or this trip does not even, this hadith doesn't make sense. You see that there's another hadith, Sahih al-Bukhari, that says on the day of Ashura, the Holy Prophet sends a messenger to a village of the Ansar, and it was in the day. And the messenger goes to them and says that, oh people, today is the day of Ashura, start fasting. And the people are like, wait, what if we were eating? He says, stop eating and continue your fasting. Now this is something interesting, because these people, individuals, didn't have an intention to fast. They've already ate, but supposedly the Holy Prophet comes and says, you know what, it's so important that you fast on this day, that fast the rest of it. If that's the case, let me eat food every single day, 10 minutes before Adhan al-Maghrib, I come and say, you know what, I'm fasting. The next 10 minutes I'm fasting, and I get the reward. That's preposterous. That doesn't exist. So you see that these hadiths have been made in order to diminish the value of Ashura, to diminish the value of these majlis azab that we all have amongst ourselves. In my own community, in the Dearborn community, Detroit community, a couple years ago, there was a festival that was held by one of the masjids on the day of Ashura. Bounce houses, barbecue, this, that. Why? Because you have all of these hadith that say Ashura is such an important day, celebrate it, give Eid, do weddings on it. So when the layperson looks at this, we're like, okay, let's have a celebration. And when you have a celebration, do you ever think of the musibah at all? This is a day of happiness. Why think about the musibah? And we see that the Ahlul Bayt, they don't let anyone diminish the value of the Azadari at all. You look at Imam Sadiq alayhi salam. Allahumma salli ala. Imam Sadiq tells his companion Masmi', he says, oh Masmi', do you do ziyarah of Imam Hussein? Do you go and visit the grave of Imam Hussein alayhi salam? And Masmi' says that, oh Imam, I'm of the important people of Basra, and around me are a lot of Nasibis, enemies of the Ahlul Bayt. I'm afraid if they hear that I went to ziyarah, that they'll come and they'll harm me, or they'll harm my family. So unfortunately, due to taqiyya, I can't go and do ziyarah. Imam says, then, do you at least do the dhikr of Hussein? He says, Wallah, I do. He says, then do you do the jaza of Imam Hussein? Do you weep? Do you mourn for Imam Hussein? Masmi' says that by Allah I do. That I stop eating food until my family sees the signs of sorrow on my face. And we hold these majalis with my family. And Imam says that Rahimallahu dam'atak. O Masmi', may Allah have mercy on your tears. Satara 'inda mawtik wa hudura abai. At the moment of your death, O Masmi', because you put this value for Imam Hussein, for the musibah of Imam Hussein, then you will see my forefathers there with you. Or do you think all these years of us loving Imam Hussein, coming to these majlis, Imam Hussein is going to let us go? That at the time of death, Imam doesn't come and help us? Imam Sadiq says that my forefathers will come and they'll grab your hand. They'll help you on that day. You won't be alone. And he says, and it's a lengthy hadith, another thing that the Imam says is that the angel of death will be as merciful to you as a mother is to their child. SubhanAllah. Now I want to give a definition. We said dhikr of Imam Hussein, the remembrance of Imam Hussein. And Imam mentions jaza'. What is this jaza'? We said it means mourning, weeping. Imam Baqir mentions that jaza' is أشد الجزء الصراخ بالويل والعويل ولطم الوجه والصدر. That the most intense of this weeping and this mourning is that someone is crying loudly, or they're screaming, they're wailing. And not only that, but they're also hitting their chest and their face. A brother was asking me just yesterday, they said, where does this latmiya come from? Why do we do ma'tam? Why do we do latmiya? Imam Baqir alayhi salam says that this is a part of jaza'. This is a part of the musibah and the majalis of Imam Hussein, that you hit your chest, you hit your face, you cry out loud. And these majalis that we have, they should be a reminder for us, for Imam al-Mahdi, that look Imam, I'm here beating on my chest, that one day I will be in your army. So our Imams, they've established this sunnah, they've established this tradition of majlis. You look at Imam Sadiq again, we mention Imam Sadiq so many times because he's such a wealth of knowledge for us. Imam Sadiq alayhi salatu was salam, sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. He mentions a hadith so beautiful. He says, Man baka aw abka aw tabaka faqad wajibat lahu al-jannah. Whoever cries, whoever helps in making others cry, or whoever even makes the expression of crying, then Jannah becomes wajib upon them. Now, disclaimer here, we have many hadith like this. You go do ziyarah of Imam or Sayyidah Fatima al-Zahra, Sayyidah Fatima al-Ma'suma, in Qom, you hear that Jannah becomes obligatory on you. Obviously, these come with the understanding that a lover of Imam Hussein is a person that not only cries, but lives Husseini as well. That a lover of Hussein doesn't speak with his mouth, labbaika ya Hussein, and then the next day with the same tongue does ma'asiyah, does haram, that he does gunah, that he does backbiting, or he says profanity. Or a lover of Imam Hussein is not a person that comes and listens to the majlis with his ears, then with those same ears he listens to things that he shouldn't. A lover of Imam Hussein is not the one that comes and sees the alam with his eyes, and then with those same eyes he goes and does haram. That is not the lover of Imam Hussein. The lover of Imam Hussein acts like Imam Hussein. The lover of Imam Hussein acts as if he wants Imam to be, that he wants Imam to love him as well. Imam says that kunu zaynan lana, be an adornment for us. So we mentioned the hadith of Imam Sadiq, man baka aw abka aw tabaka. Baka means crying. You come for the majlis and you cry. Very understandable. Now what is abka? Abka means that if you're a person who helps other people to cry, that you're maybe a person that invites others to majlis of Imam Hussein. That maybe you're a person who has majlis of Imam Hussein in your house. You share the flyers, you invite your friends, your family. Maybe that when the musibah starts, you're a person that says, ah, loudly. You're a person that hits their lap, making these noises, creating the environment of buka, of crying. Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, he has the hadith that there's a group of scholars in his house, and a poet comes and he tells the poet that I want you to recite musibah, I want you to recite poetry for Imam Hussein. And I not only want you to do that, I want you to do that for my daughter Farwa, Farwa. And Imam says that bring a curtain in this room so the daughters can come sit, and I want my daughter Farwa to sit close, that she knows what happened to her grandfather Imam Hussein. And so the poet starts and he says that Farwu judi bidam'ika al-maskub. And oh Farwa, cry and weep with flowing tears. And he continues doing this poetry, and it says that Farwa started screaming and crying, that the Imam says, Al-Bab, Al-Bab, the door, the door. What happened to Imam? People have gathered around the door. And we know that Imams have a certain level of taqiyyah that they have to have Oh, Imam, what's happening inside your house? Why is there screaming? He says that a daughter of ours, a child of ours, has fainted, and that the woman started and continued to wail. What does this show us? Imam is saying that, look, the majlis of Imam Hussein is something not only for the brothers, for the sisters, it's for the younger ones. The Imam is the forefront of ghira, protective zeal, protective honor. If there was a problem in having the sound of the woman crying, there was a problem with that, the Imam wouldn't say, put a curtain up in this room and have my daughter sit close so she can hear the musibah. The musibah of Imam Hussein is something that we teach our children from young. And look at what happened to our master Abu Abdullah Hussein. And we see that tabaka, Imam mentions. Tabaka is sometimes, Imam Ali mentions, that the tears don't dry up except if the heart is hardened. And the heart doesn't harden except if there's an abundance of sin. So sometimes me and you, we need this external force that maybe I take off my glasses and maybe I put my hand over my eyes and I put my head down. Maybe this is what's needed to get me in the mood. You know, the fact that if I'm listening to these heart-wrenching musibahs and it's not making me cry, that's a problem. That means I've gotten so much sins that it's not breaking my heart. My heart is so hard that these words are not breaking it, not getting me to cry. The Imam says that even if you put your head down and you're acting like you're crying, even that deserves reward. So the majlis of Imam Hussein is something that is sacrament. And all of us have a duty. The battle of Ashura is over, but the war isn't. The war still exists today. The war of truth against falsehood, haqq against batil. If I think that, look, I'm here in these majalis, and I'm here on the side of Zainab al-Kubra, then this ya laytana kunna ma'akum should change. That, oh, I wish I were with you. This should change. If I think that here I am, I'm a soldier of the Imam, that I'm making sure that the majlis and the musibah of the Imam continues generation after generation. I bring my kids to these musibahs. I make sure that they know what happened to their Imam. Then this is something that tells me I'm on the side of Imamism. You know, every soldier has a duty. Some people, some soldiers, their duty is to attack, to fath something, capture something. But some soldiers, their goal and their duty is to hold on to something that was captured. Our Imams have done the attacking. They've established the majalis. For us, it's time to hold on to these forts, to hold on to these majalis, these musibahs. These are important musibahs. These gatherings that we have, they are vital to make sure that the next generation knows what happened to Abu Abdullah Hussein. And now we get to what's our responsibility. Number one, we mentioned that we invite our friends, we invite our family, that we bring our children to these majalis. And we said that Imam says that كونوا زينا لنا ولا تكونوا علينا ولا تكونوا شينا علينا. That be an adornment for us. Don't be someone that's disgracing us. That when someone says he's a Shia, people know that this guy has good akhlaq. When someone says she's a Shia, she knows that this person is holding up the hijab of Sayyidah Zainab. That this person has the utmost courage, they have the utmost akhlaq. The Holy Prophet says that I've only been sent, inni bu'ithtu li'utammima makarim al-akhlaq. I've only been sent to perfect the best of morals. As lovers of Imam Hussein, we need to have those best morals in our day-to-day actions. And our responsibility is, as Imam Rida alayhi salam tells Rayyan ibn Shabib, on the 1st of Muharram, Rayyan goes to Imam Rida and they have a conversation. I advise everyone to read that conversation as it happens on the 1st of Muharram. Imam Rida says that Ibn Shabib, the month of Muharram is a month that even the Arabs of Jahiliyyah, they held importance for it. The Arabs of Jahiliyyah, These people who used to bury their daughters alive, they knew that Muharram, Haram coming from the word haram, had a sanctity to it. So they wouldn't kill anyone in this month. They wouldn't oppress anyone in this month. But Imam Rida says that this ummah of the Holy Prophet, they didn't know the sanctity of the Holy Prophet or his grandchildren, that they killed his sons and his daughters. They captured his woman and they plundered his provisions. And Imam says that they will never be forgiven for that by Allah ever. Imam says that, Ya ibn Shabib, in kunta bakiyan bishay, fabki ala al-Husayn. Imam says that, oh Shabib, oh son of Shabib, if you're going to cry for anything, then cry for Imam al-Husayn. Why, oh Imam? فَإِنَّهُ ذُبِحَ كَمَا يَذْبَحُ الْكَبْشُ. For he was slaughtered as ruthlessly as a sheep is slaughtered. How, Imam brother? How? What's the similarities? That when a sheep is slaughtered, it's a point of jubilation. It's a time of celebration. And on the day of Ashura, the enemies, the Nasibis, the killers of Imam Hussein, they were clapping, they were screaming, and they were yelling that, yes, we've killed the son of Hussein. We've killed Imam al-Hussein. They said, Sayyidah Zainab goes and she says that, أَيُقْتَلُ أَبُو عَبْدِ اللَّهِ وَأَنْتَ تَنْظُرُ إِلَيْهِ. Are you killing Abu Abdullah while you're looking? أَمَا فِيكُمْ Muslim? Is there no Muslim among you? And no one replies. فَلَمْ يَجِبْهَا أَحَدٍ. And now onto the difference. What's the difference? That Imam Zain al-Abidin, he would walk in the marketplace and he would see that a butcher is about to slaughter a sheep. He goes to the butcher and he says that, did you give it water? Did you give it food? He says that, Ya Rasulullah, we are Muslim. Of course, we've learned this from you, that before we kill the sheep, we give it water, we quench its thirst, that we give it food, that we use a sharp knife to kill it and slaughter it. And Imam, you know, there's one more thing that we do. What is that? That we don't kill the sheep in front of its children. Rahimallahu man nada wa Hussein. Imam Zain al-Abidin, what did you go through? The narrations mention that Imam Zain al-Abidin wept for his father 40 years, that in the days he would go and he would fast, and then in the nights he would go and pray. And when his servant would bring him food and said that, Sayyidi, tfaddal, eat some food, he'd say that, قتل ابن رسول الله جايا. How is it that I can eat when the son of Rasulullah was killed while he was hungry? He says that, how can I eat if the son of Rasulullah, قتل ابن رسول الله عطشانا? How can I drink water when the son of Rasulullah was killed thirsty? And they say that Imam, every single day and every single night, he did this until he reached and joined his Lord, the Almighty and the Majestic. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un wa sayalamu alladhina zalamu ayya munqalibin yanqalibun. Matamul Hussein.
Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein. Safi में चले. Hussein, Hussein, Ya 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 Hussein. है चांद मुहर्रम के तू बदली में चला जा
ہے چاند محرم کے تو بدلی میں چلا جا ہے چاند محرم کے تو بدلی میں چلا جا تجھے دیکھ کے مر جانا تجھے دیکھ کے مر جانا بیمار ہے صغرا ہے چاند محرم کے تو بدلی میں چلا جا ہے چاند وہ گھر زہرا کے لٹنے کی خبر تو نے سنائی تجھے دیکھ کے روتی ہے محرم میں خدائی 1400 برس بیتے ہیں 1400 برس بیتے سب کہتے ہیں شکوا چاند محرم کے تو بدلی میں چلا جا ہے چاند جواب میں چلا جا ہے چاند سب مل کے جواب دیجئے پلیز ملنے کے لیے بھائی کو بے چین بڑی ہے کب سے علی اکبر کی یہ راہوں میں کھڑی ہے بچھڑی ہے یہ مدت سے ہے بچھڑی ہے یہ مدت سے اسے تو نہ نظر آئے چاند محرم کے تو بدلی میں چلا جا ہے چاند آتا ویران گھروں میں نہ اسے نیند آتی اکبر کی جدائی ہے اسے خون رلاتی قدموں کے نشان ڈھانپ ہے قدموں کے نشان ڈھانپ کے بیٹھی ہے سریرا ہے چاند محرم کے تو بدلی میں چلا جا جواب محرم کے تو بدلی میں چلا جا چاند گن گن کے تو صغرا میں یہ دن ہے گزارے زندہ ہے تو اکبر کے وعدوں کے سہارے دن رات تڑپتی ہے دن رات تڑپتی ہے اسے اور نہ تڑپا چاند محرم کے تو بدلی میں چلا جا ہے چاند آتا میں چلا جا بھیا کی جدائی میں پریشان رہتی ہر روز یہ نانا کو رو رو کے کہتی اکبر نام لانا نہ ہے اکبر نام لانا مر جاؤں گی تنہا ہے چاند محرم کے تو بدلی میں چلا جا ہے چاند میں چلا جا رونے نہیں دیتے مجھے راتوں کو مسلمان بیماری ایسے بے حال ہو کچھ روز کی مرما ہر سر سے ہے مجھ کو ہے ہر سر سے ہے مجھ کو اب موت نہ گرا اے چاند محرم کے میں چلا جا اے چاند میں چلا جا اے چاند میں چلا جا اے چاند یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین 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 یا حسین حسین یا حسین حسین مظلوم کربلا کا ماتم ہے یہ ماتم ہے مظلوم کربلا کا ماتم ہے یہ ماتم ہے مظلوم کربلا کا ماتم ماتم ہے ساتائے سکینہ کا ساتائے سکینہ کا ماتم ہے یہ ماتم ہے مظلوم کربلا کا ماتم ہے یہ ماتم ہے مظلوم کربلا کا ماتم ہے یہ ماتم ہے مظلوم کربلا کا ماتم ہے یہ ماتم ہے
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد السلام عليك يا رسول الله يا نبي الله السلام عليك يا أمير المؤمنين يا علي بن أبي طالب السلام عليك يا فاطمة الزهراء سيدة نساء العالمين السلام عليك يا حسن بن علي المجتبى وبركاته السلام عليك يا وارث آدم صفوة الله السلام عليك يا وارث نوح نبي الله السلام عليك يا وارث إبراهيم خليل الله السلام عليك يا وارث موسى كليم الله السلام عليك يا وارث عيسى روح الله السلام عليك يا وارث محمد حبيب الله السلام عليك يا وارث علي أمير المؤمنين ولي الله محمد المصطفى السلام عليك يا ابن علي المرتضى السلام عليك يا ابن فاطمة الزهراء السلام عليك يا ابن خديجة الكبرى السلام عليك يا ثار الله وابن ثاره والوتر الموتون أشهد أنك قد أقمت الصلاة وآتيت الزكاة وأمرت بالمعروف ونهيت عن المنكر وأطعت الله ورسوله حتى أتاك اليقين فلعن الله أمة قتلت لعن الله أمة ظلمت لعن الله أمة سمعت بذلك فرضيت به يا مولاي يا أبا عبد الله أشهد أنك كنت نورا في الأصلاب الشامخة والأرحام لم تنجسك الجاهلية بأنجاسها ولم تلبسك من مذمات ثيابها وأشهد أنك من دعائم الدين وأركان المؤمنين وأشهد أنك الإمام البر التقي الرضي الزكي المهدي وأشهد أن الأئمة من ولدك ينزل الله وملائكته وأنبياءه ورسله إني بكم مؤمن وبي بكم موقن بشرائع ديني وخواتيم عملي وقلبي لقلبكم سر وأمري لأمركم متبع صلوات الله عليكم وعلى أرواحكم وعلى أجسادكم وعلى لسانكم وعلى شاهدكم وعلى غائبكم وعلى ظاهركم وعلى باطنكم. السلام عليك يا ابن رسول الله، السلام عليك يا ابن نبي الله، السلام عليك يا ابن أمير المؤمنين، السلام عليك يا ابن الحسين الشهيد، السلام عليك أيها الشهيد وابن الشهيد، السلام عليك أيها المظلوم وابن المظلوم. لعن الله أمة قتلت، ولعن الله أمة ظلمت، ولعن الله أمة سمعت بذلك فرضيت به. السلام عليكم يا أولياء الله وأحبائه، السلام عليكم يا أصفياء الله وودائه، السلام عليكم يا أنصار دين الله، السلام عليكم يا أنصار رسول الله، السلام عليكم يا أنصار أمير المؤمنين، السلام عليكم يا أنصار فاطمة سيدة نساء العالمين، السلام عليكم يا أنصار أبي محمد الحسن بن علي الولي الناصح، السلام عليكم يا أنصار أبي عبد الله. بأبي أنتم وأمي طبتم وطابت الأرض التي فيها دفنتم وفزتم فوزا عظيما، فيا ليتني كنت معكم فأفوز معكم. السلام عليك يا أبا الفضل العباس بن أمير المؤمنين، السلام عليك يا ابن سيد المرسلين، السلام عليك يا ابن أول القوم إسلاما وأقدمهم إيمانا وأقومهم بدين الله وأحوطهم على الإسلام. لقد نصحت لله ولرسوله ولأخيك فنعم الأخ المواسي. فلعن الله أمة قتلت، ولعن الله أمة ظلمت، ولعن الله أمة استحلت منك المحارم وانتهكت حرمة الإسلام. فنعم الصابر المجاهد الناصر، ولا